Some of the greatest rivalries in Formula One history have been between teammates. Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet, and who could forget Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. In 2022, there could be another one bubbling under the surface between the two Red Bull drivers. They're both capable, composed, and won't settle for anything less than winning. But how has the rivalry between Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez already begun to take shape? And is Christian Horner really gonna let them fight fairly? Sit back and relax as we dive into the Red Bull rivalry that's just starting to heat up. Numero uno. Former driver Roman Grosjean has said that he's sure Max Verstappen is still the team's favorite. He said, Max is the number one and Sergio is number two. It's very clear at Red Bull, and to be fair, Max has done such an incredible job for the team that it's kind of normal that he has the priority. And it's easy to see why he would say that. Last year, Verstappen brought Red Bull their first championship in 6 years, and he got rewarded with a 5-year contract worth more than $50 million a year. Since first jumping into a Formula One car at the age of 17, Verstappen has proved himself to be a top driver time after time. He became the youngest Grand Prix winner in history and is now widely considered one of the best drivers of his generation. And that generation includes the likes of Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Lando Norris. His first few years at Red Bull were marked by a growing rivalry between himself and teammate Daniel Ricciardo. As Verstappen closed the gap over the seasons, tensions flared. They came to a head at the 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix when Ricciardo ran into the back of Verstappen and took them both out of the race. That season was the first year that Max finished above his teammate, and was also when Ricciardo decided to leave the team for Renault. At the time, team principal Christian Horner had a good idea why the Australian was leaving. In an episode of Drive to Survive, Horner said, "Is he making the right career choice? My assumption is that he is running from a fight." But Ricciardo wasn't the only teammate that Verstappen has pushed out the door. When Pierre Gasly and Alexander Albon both struggled to perform at the Dutchman's benchmark, they were quickly demoted from the team. Now is a different story though. Sergio Perez is an experienced driver who doesn't make many mistakes, and a few incidents this year already show how this could be big trouble for Verstappen and Red Bull. Coming apart. The Spanish Grand Prix was the first sign of trouble at Red Bull this season. Neither Verstappen nor Perez could take pole position away from Charles Leclerc during qualifying, but the Ferrari driver suffered an engine failure halfway through the race. That left the two Red Bulls fighting for the win, with George Russell an unlikely obstacle up ahead. Verstappen had made a mistake early in the race that relegated him to P4 just behind Perez. This is where the controversy began. Red Bull ordered that the two drivers switch places so that Verstappen could try to catch up and attack George Russell ahead. Then later in the race, Perez was again ordered to move out of the way to let Verstappen through. The Dutchman had been put on a different strategy, and Red Bull didn't want to risk a teammate collision. But Perez made his feelings clear over the radio. He said, "That's very unfair, but okay." After the race, he was still unconvinced by the team's strategy. Perez said, "I'm happy for the team, but we need to speak later." Top Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko said that there was no alternative, but that he empathized with Perez. He said, "I can understand that he was upset. He saw victory in front of his eyes. Sergio didn't understand that at the time, but it was the best and safest option for us to get that 1-2. Even though Perez later said that he agreed with the strategic decisions of the team, it's hard to imagine that there aren't some doubts about his place in the team. Last season, he was the ultimate wingman and helped Max win his first championship, but in 2022, he has made clear that he has no intention of taking the back seat. Verstappen's win in Spain pushed him ahead of Charles Leclerc in the championship standings and has been a major turning point in the season. Monaco madness. But if Spain was Verstappen's turn for a Red Bull strategy advantage, the next race in Monaco was definitely Perez's. After freshly signing a new 2-year deal with the team, Sergio was out to impress. Once again, it was Charles Leclerc in pole position. But if there's one thing for certain in Formula One, it's that Leclerc never has any luck at his home race. And he continued the tradition this year. Ferrari bungled a pit stop and allowed Perez to undercut him. By the checkered flag, Leclerc wasn't even on the podium, and Perez was on the top step. But Leclerc wasn't the only one angry about his team's strategy. Max Verstappen's father, Jos Verstappen, had plenty to say after the race. On his website, he wrote about how disappointed he was with the race. It had nothing to do with Max's driving, but instead, it was strategic decisions that went in favor of Perez instead of his son. He wrote, "The championship leader Max was not helped by the chosen strategy. It turned completely to Checo's favor. That was disappointing to me, and I would have liked it to be different for the championship leader. I think 10 points from Max have been thrown away here." Sure, the criticism didn't come from Max himself, but his father has been with him every step of his career, and still has a big role in the defending world champions team. In response, Helmut Marko said that Jos's comments were baseless and out of place, and he assured everyone that there was peace between their two drivers. But it was another crack in the armor of Red Bull following the drama in Spain. No favorites. In Azerbaijan, Red Bull continued this season's tradition of profiting from Ferrari's misfortune. Charles Leclerc again put his car in pole position for the 6th time this season, and after qualifying, Leclerc's main concern for the race was tire management. But he couldn't have imagined that he would be suffering his second DNF of the season with a power unit failure, and this time for Ferrari, it was the worst-case scenario. Carlos Sainz bowed out of the race early after a hydraulics issue. Red Bull were able to clean up with maximum points. They had a 1-2 finish and Perez snatched the fastest lap. The next round out in Canada was another Max Verstappen masterclass. He was able to fend off Carlos Sainz, whose Ferrari looked much faster than the Red Bull. But for Perez, it was a weekend to forget. During qualifying, Perez crashed into turn 3, leaving him to start the race way back in P13. With the power of the Red Bull this season though, a podium finish was still within reach. After getting a decent start, things went terribly wrong just 8 laps into the race. Perez pulled off to the side of the circuit owing to a gearbox failure. It was the Mexican's second retirement of the season, which puts him equal with Verstappen, but with only 1 win to his name, it was a blow to his championship hopes. Meanwhile, Christian Horner has been trying to keep a lid on any rumors of favoritism in the team. He insists that there is no number 1 driver and that they're more focused on the Constructors' Championship. Horner has said, "It doesn't matter to us which one of the two is world champion, but whether it's Max or Checo, they're both Red Bull drivers and they've both got the same chance." The road ahead. Going into the British Grand Prix this weekend, everything is to play for. Perez is nearest to Verstappen, who sits on top of the standings. Although the 47-point gap might seem significant, we've already seen the lead change hands in just a few races this season. Perez is inches ahead of Charles Leclerc on the scoreboard, so if Red Bull are keeping their eye on Ferrari, they must also believe that Perez is capable of making up that gap. Former world champion Nico Rosberg thinks that Perez has a good shot at the trophy this year. He said you wouldn't really expect it, but Perez is right there. And he's also much closer pace-wise to Verstappen this year. Last year was Perez's first year with Red Bull and he trailed his teammate by more than 200 points by the end of the season. There were moments where he played a crucial role as a team player, but for the most part, he just wasn't up to Max's level. This year is a stronger Perez than we've ever seen before. In fact, some pundits believe that Max can learn a thing or two from his older teammate. Former driver Ralf Schumacher pointed to Perez's known skill for saving his tires as a potential factor this season. Schumacher said, "Max should try to apply Sergio's driving style to certain parts of the track and maybe take 1 or 2 corners a little slower." But what does Perez have to say for himself about the battle against his teammate? For now, he has no complaints. Speaking after the Canadian Grand Prix, he said, "I just want to do the maximum for myself. I'm in this championship, and I want to win it, but I'm also aware that we have to look after the team." With a long season ahead of us, nobody knows which one of the Red Bull drivers will end up on top. Verstappen has the clear advantage for now, but both Perez and Leclerc are hunting him down. Do you think that Perez has what it takes to unseat the reigning world champion? Will Red Bull let him? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.